Hey, what's up, people? It is D-Ross, Dwayne-Ross, and I'm down here. You probably wonder, why are you wearing a mask and where are you, right? I am actually at the airport. If you look over my shoulder, you're going to see Southwest Airlines, okay? So what does that mean? What does that mean? I'm going to tell you in a minute. Of course, I'm going places. That's what it means. I'm going places. I got places to go, people to see, things to do. But I'm here at Ronald Reagan Airport, and I'm going live. Number one, because I was near the area and I wanted to make sure that I got on time and I didn't want to get to my office and to my studio. But I'll also have this great announcement that I'm making. You know, I talked to you guys about multiple streams of income, and one of them is travel. One of them is being able to travel anywhere in the world that you want to. And although you think COVID is costing people to, slow down on their travel, I can tell you right now the parking lot is packed with cars. Okay. Now I'm in a section where there's only one person and they're 20 feet away. So I don't have to worry about this, but I wanted to show you that, hey, I'm doing my social distancing. There's no social distance here. There's nobody in front of me, but I'm here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this part just so you can see. Right. And I'm here. I got a great show tonight. I have someone that I've been involved with, working side by side with a few times in a couple of different things. And we started out, though, the day I met her, working with Foster Care Shines. Foster Care Shines, I was on the board. She was on the board, and we were doing an event in D.C. at the down in D.C. And what we were doing was, really educating people about what's going on with the foster care area. And we've been, I think that was probably 2010, 2011. So that's how long ago that was. And we've been connected ever since. But I want to introduce you to my friend, Dr. Yolanda Ragland, Dr. Yolanda Lewis-Ragland. And she is a board certified bariatrics and pediatrics doctor. Now, what I will tell you, she is also a woman on fire. When you hear that song, that girl is on fire, that's what you will hear. You hear this person who is designed for the work that she does. And she is totally dialed into people and making a difference to the people and the lives of other people. Now, you might hear some stuff in the background, but it's not that bad. Hopefully you hear me over that. But I want you to hear Yolanda because she is ready to deliver a message to you. She's author of a book, and that's the Soul Food Diet, where she has, 10 steps for your wellness. So I'm bringing my friend into this feed. She is on fire. I put in my chat, I put in the comments, this is the only woman I know that walked all the way around Central Park. She walked around the entire outside of Central Park in New York, and she walked across the bridge that my grandfather actually had a part in helping back in the 30s. Let's see, back in the 30s or 20s. He was working on the Brooklyn Bridge. So I want to bring my friend, Dr. Yolanda Lewis-Ragland on. Hey, girl, what is up? What is up?
Hey,
what is up?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. This is exciting. You're always such an inspiration and always have this, this contagious smile. So those who get to work with you know what I'm talking about. And those who have not worked with him yet need to be working with him. So, and that's on my Facebook Live as well. This is Dwayne-Ross. Passion2Profits, and this man is, you think I'm on fire, he got more energy than I got, so trust me.
Yeah. All right. So I brought you on because number one, we talked months ago, but you were real busy and you had to get time in your schedule, and God uses busy people, y'all. If y'all don't understand, God uses busy people, and busy people are about his business, and that's one of the things that she's about. She's about God's business. I want you to tell people, first of all, who you are. You're a native Washingtonian, so tell them about where you're from, your roots. You actually have even one of our pioneers in your name, and I want you to chit-chat a little bit about that because most people don't know that. It was something new that I didn't know until I was like, oh my gosh, wow, she's connected in that way. So, and we just lost him. But I'm going to let you reveal that to the people. But talk to us, Yolanda. Tell us, hey.
Okay, well, so my name is Yolanda Lewis-Ragland. And as Dwayne was referring to, my maiden name is Lewis, and so I'll get around to that in a minute. But I'm originally from Washington D.C. Grew up in actually Seattle, Washington. So I left at a young age. Went to school in California. Lived in Africa, West Africa, for Peace Corps before med school. So I've had all of these sort of experiences that have, I think, rounded out who I am today. But I am someone who's very passionate about what I do. I'm a board certified pediatrician through the American Academy of Pediatrics, but I started doing child and adolescent obesity and found that there needed to be some way for me to also connect to parents. So I went and did a board certification in obesity medicine. And I always jokingly say I did that in my spare time, but I have no spare time. But I sort of, you sort of do what you need to do, make it happen. And because it was something I was passionate about to do it. And since then, I've been working with families, lost thousands of pounds with these families, created new habits, helped with creating new recipes, really more twists on traditional recipes, teaching people how to do things in a healthier way. One of my latest endeavors is really getting people to move more because, one of my hashtags is Nutrition Mission Doc. I'm really on a mission to change how people do what they do with food, because weight loss and weight maintenance is 85 to 90% food. However, you can't out exercise a bad diet. So if you change your food, that's all great. You also need to be active. So I'm trying to show people how to combine the two. You don't have to have a lot of exercise. It can be pretty simple. So I've started with walking, referring to the fact that I love walking now. I've started creating these challenges. Wherever I go, I make sure I get at least 10 miles in. And when I'm in New York, which I'm in often because I have some clients there, I'm walking like crazy. So I decided, I walked to Central Park from Harlem. Then I decided to walk around Central Park, and I found that was pretty easy. I walked the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm planning to walk the Manhattan Bridge when I go next weekend. So I just have a good time doing it. Here in the DMV, I walk the Woodrow Wilson Bridge every day, pretty much now, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6:30. If anybody ever wants to join me, Tanger Outlets, it's the parking lot we start in. I just completed a 500-mile challenge. I actually did that for my 50th birthday. And so one of the things I wanted to share is my maiden name is Lewis. And found out not too long ago that John Lewis is my first cousin. So his father and my father were brothers, and just such a special person. And started recognizing, and I've been always passionate, but really looking into the fact that, we got to keep making good trouble. Anybody knows me knows I'm always doing something. And so to know that this is somebody who's directly connected to who I am, and the purpose that I have on this earth, just, obviously made me extremely proud, and just hoping that I'm making his legacy proud as well, to do what I do and how I do it. One of my not newest, but one of the models I have out here is eat like your life depends on it, move like your life depends on it, and vote like your life depends on it, because it does. We have to do better at how we're taking care of ourselves and how we're procuring the future for our children. So.
Wow, that's a lot. I'm stuck on a couple of things, but I don't want to get stuck on too much because you got a lot to share. All right. So one of the things, you call yourself nutrition mission doc. You are on a mission. Talk about how you started that mission, because I know at one point in time, I think the second time I met you, you was at your pediatrician's office over at the ARC. Mm-hmm. In DC. I had to meet you because we were working on Foster Care Shines, and I showed up, and I didn't know where I was going, but when I did, I was like, oh shoot, She's a pediatrician. Doctor, talk about
Yeah, so I decided a long time ago, I wanted to be a doctor, didn't know what kind I wanted to be, was kind of torn between OB and peds. And then when I thought about it, I really realized that a pediatrician gets to affect a lifespan of a person. Whereas OB/GYN, you're helping when people kind of have an episode in their life where they're pregnant, they have a baby. GYN, of course, yes, you're helping women through a certain period of their life. But with pediatrics, you're really able to affect a whole lifespan, and sometimes generations. Often, actually, generations. Many of my patients who were my patients as teens are now bringing their children to me. I don't want to say how old I am and how long I've been doing. Actually, I'm 50s, okay, but I often have found now that I have families, and I love that. And so, as a pediatrician, there are just so many things that I recognize that kids sort of need help with, whether it's mental health issues, physical health, obviously, and then there's several disparities that are affecting our community. And so, in that process, what I found was obesity was one that really drove me, quite crazy in a way, because why we were obese was a direct result of how we were eating. And when I say how we're eating, much of it is how we're marketed to, that foods are cheaper in these communities, and those cheaper foods are not good for us. Many people talk about a food desert. And what a food desert implies is that there's not good food available in a community. The problem with that is we're not just in food deserts often, and I'm in Southeast DC and I serve Ward 8 purposefully. But we're not just a food desert, we're a food swamp. And what a food swamp implies is there's not just not good food available, but there's all of this availability of bad foods for you. Lots of fast foods, corner stores that are trying to provide food sources, even the fact that there's a lot of liquor stores available. So there's all these toxins and poisons and very toxic foods that are available and cheap and marketed toward this community. But when you go to the grocery stores, and there's only two in the ward, actually one in Ward 8, technically, the Safeway is in Ward 7. So when you go to to the grocery store that is in the area, it's actually the food is not equitable. So in terms of it's not equal. The food sources are sometimes less. Let's see, the quality is less. I've also found that I can go to the Giant in Southeast DC, and the water costs more than the Giant in another part of the city, and that's unacceptable. The vegetables are higher in cost. There's several things that are higher in cost, and I've often asked about it. And what happens is the store says that they actually, because they experience loss, meaning people don't either buy a lot of the vegetables and they go bad, or even theft, things like that. They incur a higher cost with security, in terms of security guards and things. And so they actually transfer that cost onto the customer. And many people don't know that. So I've been in places where I can't understand why the water doesn't cost as much. I mean, the same, or the vegetables or fruit don't cost the same. And these are the things we want our families eating. However, those 10 for 10 things that are set in the front of the store of ramen noodles and pastries and all these other things that aren't good for you are readily available. And again, that's unacceptable. So these are things that I began really looking at and talking to families about. And I started doing grocery store tours and showing people how to shop the perimeter of the store and how to find quality foods. And what are the foods that are best if organic and that don't need to be organic, because organic can be such a costly investment. Everything doesn't have to be organic, but there's some things you really want to be if you can, because of the taste of the pesticides, things like that. Organic celery tastes a lot different than celery that isn't organic, because it's so full of water. It actually takes on the flavor of the pesticides. And so there are lots of people who think they don't like celery, but when they taste celery that doesn't have pesticides in it, they realize how clean and almost sweet it tastes. So there's all these things, as these sort of life hacks and practical tips and even recipe ideas that I started giving to families. And that's actually how I birthed my book. It's on my t-shirt on, Soul Food Saves Lives, right? And SOUL stands for savory, organic, unprocessed living foods. Oftentimes when we think of soul food, we're talking about foods that kind of like high in sugar, high in fat, make us tired, make us sleepy after we eat too much of it. You know, you got to unbutton your pants. But when you think about the word soul and soul food, it should be something that makes you feel good, makes you feel light, gives you energy. And so I wanted to flip the script and talk about how those types of foods can make you feel good, can feed your soul. And there are things that we eat that are traditional in our diets that if we just change them up a little bit, if we change how much sugar, if we change, you know, that it's not so much flour, you can use almond flour. There's all these life hacks that I give that allow a food to be of our traditional palate and you know, diet, but much healthier for us in the end in terms of the amount of calories and the amount of sugar and even salt. Then people don't feel so it's not such a difficult change when it comes to nutrition. And so nutrition, I realize, and again, I said it before, weight loss and weight maintenance is 85 to 90% nutrition. So if you don't get a hold of this nutrition thing, then you're done for. We eat so much more often than we exercise. So we got to figure out how to eat and how not to eat. Diabetes, for example, is one of those chronic diseases that are acquired for many people, and it's directly related to diet. And if you change your diet and your lifestyle, there's so many diabetics that actually are no longer diagnosed or no longer categorized as diabetic. They can actually reverse the course. And stop using insulin or whatever form or whatever medication that we put you on. Food is the first medicine. And so we have to learn how to use it correctly. And so that's my mission.
Wow, that's great. Food is the first medicine. And could you go back over the acronym of soul food again, the S-O-U-L? Take that through that slowly.
So SOUL stands for savory, organic, unprocessed living foods. Basically, the way foods kind of invigorate, excite, you know, your body and your mouth and your senses is what makes you eat more of it. And so often what happens is the only way we know how to season is sugar and salt and flour something, fry it and throw some salt, some hot sauce or some teriyaki sauce, or some sweet sauce like barbecue sauce on it. And those are all things not so great for us. But if you learn savory, for instance, if you learn how to use spices the right way, and if you learn which spices are actually medicinal, certain spices actually have things that are good for you. They might increase your metabolism. They help with your digestion. They help decrease inflammation. There's all these turmeric, cayenne pepper, sage, rosemary, thyme. I use just about every herb. I've traveled the world. I've been to Egypt. I've been to Africa. I lived in Africa 2 years. I was in China last year. So I like to use these different herbs from different places, the Caribbean, and these foods, these spices and these herbs wake you up, wake your mouth up, and they're entertaining to your palate. And you don't have to throw salt and sugar and these sauces on if you actually cook them correctly. What types of food should be organic? We need to stop consuming pesticides and antibiotics in our foods and recognize why and what foods are highest in them. Unprocessed, trying to eat foods as close to nature as possible. So fresh fruits and vegetables, saute them up a little bit. You can steam or cook them a little bit, but don't kill them, right? We've grown up, I grew up. We talk about myself eating greens that were cooked so long. And I understand pot liquor and all the stuff that we used to use. It was medicinal, but we drained all of the real fruit, vitamins and nutrients out of those greens. And it was left in the liquid and not in the actual an actual leafy green vegetable. But leafy green vegetables have lots of iron and chlorophyll, lots of vitamin E and A, lots of vitamin C. So we actually want to just saute them up a little bit to their bright green. And that's actually the best for you in terms of you being able to extract nutrients from them. And then again, that actually goes into living foods. Foods that are not so processed or cooked so long and hard that they're dying or dead. You want to eat them and consume them either raw or lightly and slightly cooked when you can. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, obviously cooking meats and things, I'm not talking about eating those raw, but I'm talking about learning how to eat things just so that you can extract the most of the vitamins, nutrients, and minerals from them. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
It's me. It's me. I didn't want the distraction coming to you, so I had muted myself. So here's the thing. So many people think that you have to give up flavor, but you're saying you're adding flavor with the savory herbs and spices. See, they only know one kind of herb and spice. That's KFC. So you gotta tell us how to look for savory spices and herbs. The other thing is this idea of, organic. We've been hoodwinked by marketing, right? Because they'll call in almost everything organic.
Organic.
So how are you helping people understand what's the difference between herb and spice, organics, unprocessed? Because some people think unprocessed still comes in a bag or it comes in a can, right? And it's like, no, that's totally processed. If it's in a box, it's been processed. So that's the easy way. And you said you show people how to go shopping around the edge of the store. Talk about all of those things that go into this whole living food idea.
So again, shopping the edge of the store, it's like, what did outside markets, what did they use, how did they used to look, right? It was, you had a butcher with his fresh meats, and you had someone with fresh fish, and you had fresh vegetables, and then you had the dairy farmer with the, milk and eggs and cheese, things like that. Really, that's about all you needed. I'm not even a big bread, someone who proposes a lot of bread, but you might have had a baker there. Outside of that, that's all you had. Now, does that mean you can't have things like pasta and all that stuff? I don't necessarily think you need a lot of pasta and rice and potatoes and bread. Those are fillers. So is corn. So what people don't realize is corn in many cultures was just a feed for animals. We don't even process corn well. And corn is mostly sugar, high in sugar. That's what this whole high fructose corn syrup and all this stuff about corn, and it was such a cheap product for farmers to make and produce. They actually used it just to feed the animals. But when it came to poverty and areas, like I said, I lived in Africa for years. The way that people sort of fill their stomachs when they don't have food is with these fillers: rice, potatoes, corn, and then they'll have like a little meat. But that's only in these sort of poverty-stricken areas that had ample money or access or resources. It's mostly fruits and vegetables. Look at a Mediterranean diet, right? Fruits and vegetables and maybe fish and some meats. And then some of those grains that are good for you, like quinoa, things like that, that actually have some protein in them. So we have to just relearn what those things are. And so one of the things that I did was, because I can't get this information to every single person and I can't have this conversation with every single person, and sometimes their questions are in depth, is wrote a book about it, right? And I have 2 books that are pretty much a lot of the same information. But the first book I wrote was Dr. Yolanda's Soul Food Diet, and it's 10 secrets to lose weight, burn fat, and stop food cravings for good. One of the things that we don't recognize is we often crave food or have cravings even after we've eaten, and we don't know why. Many times it's because what we've eaten mostly has been sugar, which are carbs. It's a fast fuel. We burn through it. It goes to our brains. We feel great and euphoric for a moment. It actually then turns to fat. but then we feel hungry again because our sugar high has dropped. And now we have this craving for more sugar because we're trying to reach that high again. What can often stop cravings is taking or utilizing foods that have lots of vitamins. So, taking a multivitamin or some vitamin supplements or eating foods that are high in these vitamins, because your body is craving something. It's not always craving sugar. It's mostly not craving sugar. We just keep feeding it sugar because sugar is easy, it's accessible, and it's the thing that we just know what to do with. However, if you if you take a multivitamin, if you eat certain foods that are high in these vitamins and supplements, you'll actually stop your cravings. You can cut them down or almost wipe them out. But most of us just don't know that, and we're not eating correctly. And so that's what this book is about. Dr. Yolanda's Soul Food Therapy is how savory, organic, unprocessed living food saves lives. So really, it's a combination of all of that information is in these two books. What I love about the books is the 10 steps that I say, the 10 secrets to losing weight, burning fat, and stopping your food cravings, spells out the word discipline. So the first was detoxification, impound the imposters, set yourself for success, and it goes on and on and on. But it really boils down to discipline, learning the tools that you need to stay on track. But then guess what? I can give you all the tools in the world. I can give you a diet plan. I can give you information about organic, what to eat, what not to eat. I could talk about how to alkalinize your diet, how to drink alkaline water and dandelion tea. I can give you all of this information, right? But information is by itself just information. But when you apply that information and you use your discipline, now it's knowledge, and you're able to repeat it and use it and form your own course with it, and you can actually share it with others. But when you just see it as information and you don't utilize it and you don't apply it to your life and you don't apply the discipline you need to see the results, then it's in one ear and out the other. And that's the part I can't help you with. I can lead you to the water, but I need you to drink, and I need you to drink it, as though your life depends on it. Because I promise you, so many people's lives really do depend on this information. And that's why I wrote it. And the last thing I wanted to share is, similarly, as a pediatrician, I wrote an actual children's book on nutrition called Naomi Negotiates a Healthy Lunch. And it's about how we as parents can provide healthy, food and information in ways that we care for ourselves. I'm all about self-care. We care for ourselves by providing the best food and fuel for these temples of ours. And as parents, it's our responsibility to do the same thing for our children. A good steward takes care of what God has given him or her. And the first thing God gave us was these temples, these bodies. And so we're stewards and good stewards over these temples if we take care of them properly. But at the same time, we are commissioned to be good stewards over our families. So our children, our partners, our husbands, wives, whatever, community. And so that's my goal. My mission is to get us all to be good stewards in this area of nutrition and health.
That's phenomenal. And you have a children's book, you have a journal, you have a book. You took the knowledge and put it in a place, because you said earlier, I can't be everywhere. I can't be able to answer. And then some people need the time to kind of, digest it a little bit, kind of ruminate a little bit, and, that type of thing. If you're watching tonight and you're watching and you have a question, just go ahead and put it in the comment section, put it in the chat section, put it in the like section, whatever it is. Or if it's on put it in the comment section. It'll come to us, and you'll be able to see it, and I'll be able to see it, and I'll be able to ask her. But I'm going to ask you two questions in reference to this whole idea of being in a situation where people are in what they call food deserts, or right now we're living in a world that we're really facing racism head on, right?
Right.
And it's crazy to me that we're even talking about how that plays out when it comes to where they put a Safeway or a Giant or of Whole Foods, right? So talk about, how do people who have limited income still find ways to impact their lives better by eating better instead of taking the, the chicken nuggets for, 20 of them for $1. What kind of things can they do to really kind of take advantage of what you're talking about here?
So access is everything. Access in knowledge and information is everything, right? So one of the things that I think people don't realize is that when you actually eat, first of all, I said it before, when you're shopping the perimeter of the store, this is where the whole living foods are, paleo diets, if you will. That's where those foods exist. And it's whether it seems like it or not, because the marketing, everything is marketing, right? So you can put fresh on something, you can put all natural, you can put, there's all these words that are these sort of flags that people see and they think, oh, let me get this. It says paleo, it says keto friendly, keto, it says all of these things. And this markets to people and people's idea of what looks good or it's supposed to be good for them. And so a lot of these boxes that you're reading, when you're seeing double and triple syllable words, things that end in isolate and anyway, there's a lot of these that you have to be aware of. And I actually talk about that in the book. These are the things that are actually causing, first of all, mood swings, irritability, inflammation, indigestion. People have a lot of underlying problems that they're attributing to a lot of stuff outside of their diet. And half the time I talk to them and have them eliminate some of this stuff, it is directly associated with what they're eating. And so it is cheaper in the long run to eat better for you and actually have better health so that you're not going to the doctor, not gaining weight, not increasing in sizes so that you got to buy more clothes. Like if you got to look at the bigger picture. How much money are you spending on all of these other things that you're not even directly connecting to your diet? But by maintaining weight or even losing weight, and say you do lose weight and get another, wardrobe, if you will, but it's because you lost weight and you're in a healthier state. Your asthma's not acting up as much. You're spending less time in the hospital or the emergency room or less time on your medication. Your hypertension has either decreased or gone away, less money on medications, less money in the hospital or in these evaluations on heart monitors or whatever else. Your cholesterol has gone down. These headaches have stopped. You stop using, you stop having to go to the doctor about them and getting these evaluations and put on. There's so many things that are connected. So healthcare costs are going up because you're eating poorly and you're stressed out and you don't know what's going on and you don't know how to make these changes versus eating a healthier, better diet. And all of this stuff isn't that expensive. I just had my little Costco run today. Let me tell you some things I do. These are my life hacks. I get a rotisserie chicken from Costco. It's like a $5 chicken. I don't know if it's $4.99 or $5.99, but it's about $5. That chicken, and I'll get a bag of salad. The salad, the kale, Brussels sprout, whatever salad is $4.99. I promise you, I buy it all the time. So I get that chicken and that salad bag. I might get some cherry tomatoes, some feta cheese, and then I make my own dressing. I cut pieces off of that chicken for a week. That is my lunch and or dinner for an entire week. For me alone, I know my lunch is cheaper than, I don't even know how half these people spend $10 on lunch every day. And then they're complaining that they don't have the money. I don't understand it because I spend 10 to 15, maybe $20 on that meal, and I can eat that for a week for lunch and dinner. I might grab some dozen of eggs, and then I'm whipping up 1 or 2 eggs and putting in the tomatoes, some spinach. I bought some fresh spinach today. I think that was $3.99, maybe $4.99, and it was organic. And so I'll saute some eggs and onions, some tomatoes. That's breakfast every single day. So I know it's cheaper, or it can be cheap to eat, but you have to put the time and the effort and the energy into knowing what you're making. You gotta meal prep. And you have to bypass all of the distractions. A lot of the stuff is designed, the marketing again, it's designed that 5 for 5 or 10 for 10 or KFC's $5 box. So all of this stuff, it's a way to make you think it's cheaper, but it really isn't cheaper to eat that way because it's costing you in the end. Not only is it easier sometimes to make these other meals and better for you, but it's actually costing you more in the end because it's so high in salt, so high in trans fat. It's breaded, which means it's high in sugar. People don't think about flour as sugar, but it's full of sugar because it's breaded. And now you're processing that sugar. And the only way to process sugar is using insulin. When your body pumps out insulin, it also makes fatty acids. So what makes us fat is not fat, but sugar. What gives us high cholesterol is fat. So eating fatty and fried foods give you high cholesterol. Eating breaded foods that are also fried give you is what makes you gain weight. So that's why those two go hand in hand. And then the salt there gives you the hypertension. So you got high cholesterol, increased weight gain, and hypertension from eating fried chicken from, I'll say, a number of these people, so I don't get sued by KFC.
Right.
KFC, any of the above named, these are the issues that you're gonna have, and it's just not worth it. When you can get a rotisserie chicken for $5, it'll last you for a week.
Wow. See, it's the myth. And what we do a lot of times when, I bring people on, they do bust myths because what they do is they start sharing information. You just talked about how you can go and get a rotisserie chicken for like $5, $4.99, and you can eat off that one piece of chicken, that one chicken for the entire week.
I'll tell you how cheap I am. Let me be real clear because I'm talking about Facebook folks too. I eat chicken for a week. Then I take the chicken, I boil the chicken in water with onion and garlic and celery, and I make a broth. And then I put that in the freezer until I want to make something else with it. And I will use that as a base for jambalaya or, chicken noodle soup for somebody, for my kid. Like that, nothing goes to waste in my house. You will cartilage and the carcass from my broth that I have just made. I don't buy who buys chicken broth? I don't understand buying chicken broth. I don't understand buying vegetable broth in a box.
Bone broth. They buy
bone broth. Right. You're buying it in a box. I make bone broth when I put the chicken with the bones in the water. So I'm getting the calcium, I'm getting it and all the flavor, and I add bay leaf. And I add sage and rosemary. So I'm making it right there. I'm making it savory. I don't waste any money. If people are, but why are you wasting? I don't understand it. I don't understand, but nothing goes to waste in my house. Trust me when I say that.
Yeah, we got to go back because see, that's the other myth too. They think that because you're a doctor and you're making all kind of money and people can see you making moves and all that kind of stuff, that you just want to go eat out every night and you just want to go like, sky's the limit, etc. But what you've shared with us tonight is how even you have the capacity to do it. You even have the capability to do it. But that doesn't serve first of all, it doesn't serve you because you want to be a product of your own product. You're telling people to be safe and eat right and nutrition and things of this nature. And so, I mean, look at you, it's so funny because you said, oh, I'm 50 years old, but most people will look at your look. They'll say, okay, if she's a doctor, she's taking care of health. Let's see how she looks. Well, guys, look at her hair, look at her face, look at her glow, look at her skin. And the fact is she's taking care of her body because she's on a mission. She's on a mission and she's teaching us how we can tweak. She didn't say change it all overnight. Just tweak it. Just take another look at what you have on your plate and then also making some moves around that outside edge of the store. Yolanda, this is some good stuff. This is some really good stuff. And, we don't have a lot of time, but I want you to talk about where you are now in your journey with this whole, you just went on a challenge. You did the 500-mile challenge. I'm still trying to catch up to you on the 300-mile. I was trying to catch up on the 200-mile, and you done went and did a 500-mile. I called my cousin. I said, listen, I'm coming to New York to do two things. I'm walking across the bridge and around
Yep.
Central Park because you
I'm telling
inspired
you.
me to do so. And I called my cousin. He said, I got you, D. When you get in town, we going. Then I called my nephew, Andre Bleezy. You out there, Andre? I know you out there because you said, hey, come and visit. When I come to visit, we go for a walk around Central Park. You coming from the Bronx, and we're doing it. Talk about these challenges and how you put these challenges together to help people get
Mhm.
their health together.
So first of all, I'm glad you asked about my challenge because each month I found. So here's the deal. Here's the truth about we all have these things that happen, and there you can either react or respond, right? And what I say to a lot of times to people is reacting is this thing that you do impulsively with no real end point in sight, right? And it can and sometimes those reactions can be so sudden and so fierce and harsh that they actually hurt others because all you know how to do is react. Responding, on the other hand, is a way of processing what's happened to you, what's going on, what you're in the midst of, and actively deciding to do something about it. So I chose and let me tell you, one of my platforms, the other thing that I do is I often I speak for the David Lynch Foundation because I am a transcendental meditation practitioner, and I share meditation with others, and that's something I do for my self-care, and it's actually really taught me how to respond versus react. Because each day, twice a day for 20 minutes, you center yourself, you really go inside, and you really tap into the power on the inside of you. And those of us that are Christian understand that power on the inside of you is God. He, Him, Holy Spirit, your creator is really giving you all the tools that you need. But we don't often spend enough time tapping into that and bringing it to the surface. And so what happened, to be quite honest, is around the March, April time when all of this stuff was happening, right? Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all of these things that were occurring, all of these just egregious acts that we were witnessing, and they were really affecting us. And I was very transparent on Facebook and on my feed because I was having a hard time with this. And I'm like, guys, I feel like I'm experiencing PTSD. Now, this is something that I deal with in patients all the time. But after having a very tragic or traumatic experience, often it affects you in certain ways. And so I couldn't sleep. I was having images of my son being stopped. I have an 18-year-old son who just got accepted to Morehouse. And, he was about to go off to school at the time, and with the whole Ahmaud Arbery thing in Georgia, like that was like, oh, wait, hold up. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about this. But of course, they have decided to do online courses until January. But all that being said is I was having all these thoughts and this pent up energy, and what do I do with it? And then I was invited to do a Juneteenth challenge, a walking challenge in a private group that I'm in, Spring 90 D9 thing. And it was 30 minutes for 30 days for 30 years. It was our 30th anniversary. And I thought, okay, I'll do the challenge. And when I mentioned it, I had a couple of people ask me to join the challenge, but they weren't in this private group. And I thought, oh, you know what? Let me just start my own challenge. I was also teaching Bible study at the time. So I was doing a sit group called a women's sit group called Spirit of Faith, called the 120 Club. So I decided, let me start to do a challenge of my own, and I opened them up, and they kept filling up because with this particular app I was using, Stride Kick, you can only have 10 people at a time. So they kept filling up. So I had 4 challenges going at once in my first challenge, and it was my Juneteenth Freedom Walk, or something like Freedom Health Walk Challenge or whatever I called it. And it went from June 19th to July 18th, 30 days. And what happened during that time for me was phenomenal. And I actually wasn't expecting it, but I was very happy to experience it. What I found is that as I was walking, I was actually, it was therapeutic for me. And even though we weren't supposed to do 30 minutes a day for 30 days. I found myself walking for 30 minutes, 45, an hour and a half. I was just going further and further, and it felt good. 6 miles, 7 miles. I was up to 12 miles a day, and I thought, this is great. And there were several times that I got 20 miles a day in, not all at the same time, but I'd go for a walk in the morning for 10 miles, and then I just felt like I needed another one, and I went for another walk. And at the end of that 30 days, I had gone 380 miles with no real goal in mind. And I thought, if I can go 380 miles in 30 days without even thinking about it, let me see how far I could push myself. And the other thing that happened was that challenge ended on July 18th, which was the day before my 50th birthday. So on my 50th birthday, I decided I'm going to do another challenge. So I opened the challenge, and I didn't have anything out in mind specifically, but I began to talk about it. And I said, the power of the tongue, you put something out there, it'll happen. So at first I was afraid to say 500 miles because I didn't want to be held to the standard and then not make it, fail, have shared it with people. And I thought, why not? What's the issue? Go big, go hard, or go home. So I chose 500 miles for my 50th year. I worked it all out in 30 days. That means 16 and a half miles a day for 30 days. Heck, there are days that I did 20 miles. So I can do this. And that's exactly what I did. So I put it out there. I'm going to do 500 miles in 30 days. And what happened was amazing. People started joining me. People were encouraging me. People were telling me how they were encouraged and inspired. Well, actually, I say I motivated them to walk more, but they inspired me to reach that goal because they started reaching out and saying how many miles they were walking, how they were getting groups together. Like you, Dwayne, they were from New York and had never walked around Central Park or had never walked the Brooklyn Bridge or hadn't been to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. So I started taking people across the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. The joke became, my nickname became Harriet Tubman, that I was taking people to freedom across the bridge. However, we were going the wrong way. We were going from north to south, and that necessary freedom. But it was just a fun time, and it became its own thing. So what I wanted to announce now is after that 500 miles, in the midst of that, I started thinking, how many people have reached out to me? How many miles collectively have we logged? So I alone had done almost 1,000 miles, 500 plus. Oh, and I'd like to say I did 503 miles and ended up doing more than 1 million steps. Never in a million years did I think about it. But most of us understand that 10,000 steps a day is what you want to get at least the minimum of, right? Well, when you do 10,000 steps a day, that's about 5 miles. When I do the 16 and a half, 17, sometimes 20, that's more than, if 10,000 steps is 5 miles, that's more than 30,000 steps. So I was getting an average of 35,000 steps, sometimes 40. Well, what happened was in 30 days, I hit over 1 million steps, and I had not even thought about that. That wasn't even a part of my goal or my target. It was really the 500 miles. And so I thought, collectively, how many miles? And so I really started looking at some of the texts I was getting, the people that were reaching out, and I started logging even the number of miles of the people who joined my challenges. And it was well over 5,000 miles in the first challenge, and then almost 20,000 miles collectively. I thought, this is crazy. We could do 20,000 miles in just these short 2 months. I wonder how many people I can get in a challenge. I want to do 1 million miles. So I actually am going to be starting a campaign. It's going to be a year-long campaign, and I'm calling it the Million Mile Manifesto, and it's taking back our health with each step forward. And I've already pitched the idea to a friend who's a mentor, a philanthropist, who works with some companies that I can't announce now because we haven't really started the real meat of this. But my prayer is that we will raise more than $1 million. I want them to match $1 for each mile. And the goal is to create these walking trails in inner cities, the ones that already exist, to beautify them, get the right lighting, cameras, patrol, all the things that make these areas safe. Because what I found is I would get people reaching out to me. I had one of my 15-year-old patients, for instance, lives in Northeast DC, wanted to walk, but didn't have anywhere to walk. So what did I do? I went and picked her up, brought her with me, had her walk the Woodrow Wilson Bridge and drop her off. I mean, those are the kinds of things that I choose to do as a pediatrician. Everybody's not going to do that. But what I want to do is create safe areas in spaces throughout our city, throughout other cities, Baltimore, DMV, but nationally, where people feel safe. There are events, activities that they can do. There's cameras, there's lighting, it's patrolled well, but we have to have money to do that. And so the plan is to launch this. And as you know, Dwayne, I do a heart health awareness event in February every year. I started it in 2019. So I've had 2 so far. So next year, hopefully by the 2021, I won't say hopefully, I will launch this Million Mile Manifesto, and starting it in February. And from February 2021 to February 2022, the goal is to have 1 million miles walked collectively. And there's an app that I'm either going to improve or create. But what I really want to do is have people be able to log their miles. But I want 2 other things with this. I want you to be able to register to vote, and I want you to be able to connect with your health insurance that will incentivize you and give you some type of reward for having walked 50 miles in a month, or having done these things where you're showing by logging your distance how much you're taking care of your health. And so I want to connect those 3, because like I said, eat like your life depends on it, move like your life depends on it, vote like your life depends on it. I need you registered to vote. I need you to get information about your health care, health insurance. I need them giving you incentives and rewards back for taking care of yourself. I need us all to be accountable and encouraging and inspiring each other to do what we need to do to take our health back. Because the truth is, we're waiting for legislature and laws to change, and we're protesting, and all those things matter, but they also take time. But what can you do today to affect your health positively is start taking these steps, start moving, start getting information about nutrition, what you can do differently. And so what I plan to do with this is give tips about nutrition, give information about drinking water, about supplements, about vitamins, about all that stuff that is really important. And like you said, information that we don't always know about. And that's what's killing us is, I say this, I love the Bible, but our people, perish for lack of knowledge. Getting the information, applying the information, and becoming disciplined about it. So, I get off my soapbox, but I'm so passionate about this stuff that I could talk about this forever.
Okay, so there's no soapbox because there's information and education. See, what we're doing is educating our community. When you talk about collectively, I mean, first of all, you say personally, you look up and you like, well, I've walked 1 million steps, 1 million steps. There's people trying to get 200 steps in, right? And you got 1 million steps. So that's phenomenal. But when you start looking at the collective body coming together and saying, you know what, we're going to be intentional. See, part of transcendental meditation talks about being intentional with your mind, being intentional with your mindset, being intentional with what you think on, being intentional about what you put in front of your face, being intentional about the words coming out of your mouth. So all this intentional things are so powerful. And now you're giving us something to do with that intent. You're giving us something to hold on to. And this whole idea of get to stepping, let's get to stepping. We can step up and get moving. And then I love the fact that you connected this to our vote, because see, when we see protests going all over the world in reference to what we just saw personally, right? We saw a man's life snuffed out right in front of us. And you called it PTSD. It actually is PTSD. Mm-hmm. America has been under PTSD since 2016, right? Because there's been one thing after the next. And prior to them, we had
I would say prior to 2016.
Well, I'm getting ready. I'll get ready to go there. We actually been there since 1600, right? Yeah, 1600. right. But what I'm talking about is this new administration who is blatantly
Yeah,
calling right wrong and wrong right, who is
yeah,
blatantly putting these things in front of our face and not giving people
yeah.
anything to hold on to so that
Yeah,
they can heal, right?
right.
And we have this current situation where we haven't gotten over that PTSD, and then we get this next thing and this next thing and this next thing. We have the crisis, we have the fall of our economy,
Right.
we have jobs being lost by millions, 32 million people right now out of work, small businesses shuttered up, right? That's why I'm talking to people
While
about
big businesses are sucking
getting
the life
getting
out
right,
of
yes,
okay.
getting bought. And then you got a company right now called Amazon, right? Where
Oof.
they were making when I checked, it was $283 million a day. $283 million a day. But
It's
now
like
he is
time.
on track to be the first trillionaire, not millionaire, not billionaire, but trillionaire, right? Because we're using these systems, the
And
same systems you're talking about.
monopolize all the stuff that they need to break up, they won't break up. So it is what it
Well, that's another thing, right? Because we have Google, we have Facebook, and we have Amazon, top three. But what we also have is Dr. Yolanda Lewis-Ragland saying, listen, let's step up. Let's get ourselves together. There is no, God's not coming from the sky. Jesus is not showing back up. There's no more saviors coming. We have to now look at this thing and
is on the
start
inside of us, right?
how we're going to do right because it's already here. What we have to do is people like yourself. Les Brown said it so eloquently today, and I had to post him today because he said, use your voice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Use your voice. Ladies and gentlemen, our voice is what he's given us. God has given us a voice. God has given us these things that we have a passion for. Yolanda has a passion for people. You have the event that you deal with that you have in February regarding heart. We didn't even talk about that. I mean, reducing heart failure, reducing diabetes, reducing this whole idea of how our food affects our heart. The number one person with heart disease is a female,
Black female.
right? Black female, right? So there's a huge attack right now. The number one female going to jail right now. Who? The black female. She has been put in jail
The
79%
highest
more.
maternal child rates
Birth rate is behind
yep,
incarceration.
is in
Yes.
black females,
And then
fibroid, cancer, lupus, heart disease, um,
every single category. And then here's the thing.
HIV,
Yeah,
all of it.
the babies are being born and the babies are dying. The
Yeah,
infant mortality rate for black
yeah,
children is off the charts.
yeah.
I saw in the Washington Post last week, they posted the disparity for income, $100,000 to $5.36 in Southeast. So all around the no matter where you look at the Monopoly game that they got us playing
Right,
right now,
right. We're on
I used
the
to tell people,
and every time we get out the box, we going to jail.
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. It's like we getting the jail.
and you're not getting out of the jail. You're stuck. So the Monopoly game is rigged.
It's rigged. It's rigged. I tell you, it's rigged. Right. But what they've done, and what has happened to us collectively is we've been given false information,
Yeah.
um, about our health. And here's the hardest thing: racism, even in food disparities. Right. When we know a major corporation that's like that could go right in and put a nice little store right in the middle of southeast if they wanted to, and they can make it where it's local food coming in, so they don't have to worry about it dying so early or going bad and all that. There's a lot of things that could be
If
done
Amazon could get food and get packages to all over the world,
everywhere,
it
everywhere.
has partnered with Whole Foods. Trust and believe Amazon and Whole Foods could put markets or stores right in these poor areas like Southeast DC and Baltimore and Chicago and all these areas
Overnight.
afford overnight and make it affordable, while other while other communities pay these ridiculous high prices. But you have all of this money, no heirs, nobody giving. You can't even use the amount of money that you have in your lifetime, and
Yeah.
you're not thinking about how to help people that are literally dying like before your eyes. I can't fathom that. I could not live with myself. I don't understand that, but
Yeah.
that's
So here we are. We're at the end of our time. It is almost 8 o'clock. Matter of fact, it's
today.
8 o'clock, right? And there's like the second part. I want to have part two. But tell people how they can find you, Yolanda. Where do they need to go to get connected to you?
There are several sources. I have a website, dryolandamd.com. It sounds redundant, but a lot of people out here calling themselves doctors are not MDs. And so I go by Dr. Yolanda MD, so DrYolanda MD. So you can go to dryolandamd.com on my website. You can go to info at dryolandamd.com for my email. You can go to Dr. Yolanda MD on Instagram. Please make sure there's no underscore. Recently, I had someone, what is that called? Clone my page and create a whole, and that is not me. So there's no underscore in my name. It's Dr. Yolanda MD on Instagram. On Facebook, it's my whole government name. So it's Yolanda Lewis-Ragland. Everybody on here is talking about the fact that they're, exercising and all that stuff. So that's great. So my Facebook now. The other place you can find me is I have a nutrition blog, and it's bodydocpro.com. That's actually where you can purchase books. And the last thing I want to say is on the fourth Wednesday of every month, from starting next week, the 26th of August, I will be on Sirius XM Stars Channel 109 with Just Jenny. She does something called Weight Wednesdays. I was a guest back in July, and she called and asked me to be a recurrent guest, just talking about the things that we do and talk about practical tips and these challenges and just ways to that I've been able to be successful with weight loss for families, especially as a pediatrician and someone who works with adults as a bariatrician. So, you can tune in at 12:30, the fourth Wednesday of every month. Again, Sirius XM channel 109. It's Sirius XM Stars channel 109 with Just Jenny.
Well, I'm going to post that information because I couldn't write it fast enough in my comment section, and I don't have that. I'm still working on getting a sponsor for my show. I got to get my numbers up and stuff like that, but I hope to get it. I already know it's going to happen. I had someone reach out to me, and I really want to go even on a larger scale, over maybe on a different network. But I want to say thank you so much, Yolanda. Such great information. You guys that are out there, if you've been paying attention to this episode, I'll repost this episode over the next couple of days. It'll be also rebroadcast again. This has been a great time, Yolanda. Thank you so much. I mean, I just honor the fact that I have a relationship with you because you've been the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. From the day we met to now, it's been that kind of thing. My daughter came to meet you, and she came to find out about the heart health, and she just was so enamored by what you're doing and how you're going about doing it. And you're a role model for a lot of people, even if they're not watching, they're not with you every day. You're still being a role model and a mentor because of your lifestyle and what they see and what you're presenting to people. And I'm looking forward to seeing, what happens with as you move forward. I know that what you said is going to happen because you've already purposed it, you've already declared it, and you already decreed it. And when you declare and decree a thing on the earth, the universe and God and all the things that He put on the earth for us conspires to help us make it happen. So, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I want to say thank you.
Yes,
It's
Jesus.
in the tongue. And we need to speak life or shut the heck up.
That is the truth. Everybody don't need to speak. We already know about this.
Speak life or be quiet.
You
Zip
go.
it the lip and get to
That's
stepping.
it.
All
And
right.
step it with me if you need to, but just just
All right,
step
y'all.
it.
All right. Thank you so much, Yolanda. We'll talk to you soon.
You.
It's been a pleasure as well as a privilege. As Les Brown says, it's been a plum pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. Y'all take care now. So you take care of yourself, and we'll talk soon.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Okay, you
you.
guys. All right. Hey, everybody! I just want to say, if you wasn't there for the beginning, it's gonna be able for you to go back and check it out. I'm gonna repost it. I'm also gonna repost the link back from YouTube so you could check it out. But that was Dr. Yolanda Lewis-Ragland, bringing the fire, bringing the information, making sure you have what it takes, the information that it takes, and now all you got to do is put actions behind your info. I talked about this before as well during my 31 days of positivity that actually birthed this program. I talked about the fact that you can't just be a reactionary person. You can react or respond. She talked about this whole idea of taking time to decide, making quality decisions about the food that you put into your body. And then if you're struggling, she has a challenge for you. If you're struggling, check out her book. Go to the website. Get the information from the Nutrition Mission Doc. She is on your side and she's ready to help you change your life. This is Dwayne-Ross from Dwayne-Ross.com, where I help people discover their tag, your talent, your ability to gift, and put it to work in the earth. If you also have a story in your head or in your heart, I have the Write Your Story self-publishing course designed to help you get it out of your head, out of your heart, and into the hands of those that can consume it. It is your life. It is your story. Your story can transform lives. All you got to do is write that story and get it out there. So I want to say thank you for taking the ride. Thank you for participating with me. It's past 8 o'clock, but I got to go. But I'll keep you in my heart and I'll keep you on my mind. And we'll see you next week. I got another guest for you, bringing you some serious information. And don't forget what I said, why I'm also here at the airport. I'm going to be announcing another stream of income in the travel industry, and it is powerful. All right. It is powerful. So I got pets. So if you got pets, you can, I got the online pet store. If you have money, I got Mr. Keith Tucker helping you get your money right, My Econ. And now I'm bringing in travel. And I have two options for travel because My Econ has travel as well. But you guys that want to have your own agency, I have something for you. And then I have real estate coming behind you. All right. We're talking about investing in real estate. And one of the programs Ernesto Rodriguez is asking people to participate in is to go into Baltimore. Going into Baltimore. Baltimore looks like a bomb went off if you go in certain parts, not downtown, but when you go into the city, you go up there where the people are. It's amazing. It'll look like 1968 after Dr. King died. Nothing has happened since then. No money has been infused into that area. They put all the money downtown. We want to go into those areas and help build them up and help build up the people. Up there where Freddie Gray was murdered, up there where Freddie Gray was running in the street, that area, we need to impact that area. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. See you on the next page, the next post, the next YouTube video, or the next live. Be blessed. We'll see you.